Ladies and gentlemen, confidence is magnetic. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room. You don't have to be the one with the most money, the best looks, or the flashiest lifestyle. What truly draws people, especially women, is the energy you carry, the certainty in your presence, the way you move through the world as if you belong exactly where you are. Confidence isn't arrogance. It isn't about proving something to others. It's about knowing deep down that you don't need to prove anything at all. Women don't chase men who seek validation. They chase men who don't need it. There's something incredibly attractive about a man who isn't constantly looking around for approval, who doesn't shape himself to fit what he thinks others want him to be. When you walk into a room and you're simply at ease with yourself, comfortable in your own skin, unbothered by the need to impress, that is when people take notice, because confidence is rare. It's rare because most people are afraid. Afraid of rejection, afraid of not being enough, afraid of standing alone. But the man who isn't afraid, the man who walks forward without hesitation, that's the man who commands attention. It starts with how you see yourself. You can't fake confidence, not in the long run. If you feel small on the inside, eventually that insecurity will show. Maybe in the way you hesitate before speaking, maybe in the way you overcompensate with forced bravado, maybe in the way you constantly seek reassurance. Women notice that. They feel it. And more than words, more than actions, more than anything you can buy or do, it's the energy you bring into every interaction that makes the difference. Think about the people you admire, the ones who seem to have this effortless presence about them. They don't rush to fill silence. They don't need to be the center of attention. They aren't desperate to be liked, because they already like themselves. And when you genuinely like yourself, when you respect yourself, when you believe in who you are, you automatically create an energy that draws others in. Women are drawn to certainty. Not arrogance, not ego, certainty. The kind that says, I know who I am, I know what I stand for, and I'm not looking for permission to be that person. That certainty doesn't mean you never doubt yourself. It doesn't mean you never fail. It means that even in doubt, even in failure, you don't crumble. You adjust, you learn, you move forward. And that resilience, that inner strength, is what makes you irresistible. The mistake most men make is thinking confidence is about dominance, that they have to be the loudest, the strongest, the most aggressive presence in the room. That's insecurity disguised as confidence. Real confidence is the opposite. It's calm. It's composed. It doesn't try to prove anything because it doesn't need to. When you have real confidence, you don't have to chase. You become the one who is pursued. And here's the truth. Women can feel the difference. They know when a man is comfortable with himself and when he's just pretending. They know when he's solid in who he is and when he's seeking something outside of himself to make him feel whole. A truly confident man doesn't need someone else to complete him. He's already complete. And that kind of man is rare. That kind of man stands out. So, how do you build that kind of confidence? You start by becoming someone you respect. You show up for yourself. You do what you say you're going to do. You set standards and you hold yourself to them. Confidence isn't about pretending, it's about becoming. It's about developing the kind of mindset and habits that make you proud of who you are. Because when you carry that self-respect, when you walk through life with that quiet assurance, you won't have to chase the right people. The ones who see that value, who feel that energy, will come to you. And when that happens, you'll realize something powerful. It was never about them chasing you. It was always about you becoming the kind of man worth chasing. Purpose-driven men are irresistible. There's something undeniably attractive about a man who knows where he's going, who wakes up every day with a fire inside him, who isn't waiting for permission to chase what he wants. Women don't chase men who are sitting around waiting for life to happen to them. They chase the ones who are already moving, already building, already becoming. Because a man on a mission has an energy that is impossible to ignore. Think about the moments in your life when you felt the most alive. The moments when you were so locked into something that nothing else mattered. The late nights working toward a dream. The early mornings pushing yourself beyond your limits. The times you lost yourself in the pursuit of something bigger than you. That's when you had purpose. That's when you felt unstoppable. And that's the kind of energy that people, especially women, gravitate toward. Women don't want a man who needs to be saved. They don't want someone who's drifting through life hoping that maybe if the right person comes along, everything will fall into place. That's not attractive. What's attractive is a man who already has direction, who isn't searching for someone to complete him because he's already whole. A man who's focused on his vision, who knows what he wants and refuses to settle for less. That's the kind of man women respect. That's the kind of man they admire. It's not about the job you have or the money you make. It's not about impressing anyone. It's about waking up with a reason to push forward, about having something that fuels you, something that makes you get up in the morning excited to go after it. That's what makes you attractive. Not the car you drive, not the clothes you wear, but the fire in your eyes when you talk about what you're building. And here's the truth, you don't have to be at the top to be that man. You don't have to have everything figured out. You just need to be moving. You just need to be relentlessly pursuing the life you want. That's what people are drawn to. Momentum. Because when you're growing, when you're evolving, when you're stretching yourself beyond your comfort zone, you carry an energy that makes people want to be around you. Women chase men who chase something bigger than themselves. It's that simple. Because when you have purpose, you're not needy. You're not looking for validation. You're too busy building. You're too focused on creating something meaningful. And that is what makes you magnetic. And here's the most important part. When you are driven by something greater, you stop settling. You stop wasting time on meaningless distractions. You stop trying to prove yourself to people who don't matter, because you don't need to. Your purpose is enough. Your mission is enough. And when you show up in life with that kind of clarity, the right people, the ones who truly see your value, will recognize it. Women don't chase men because of what they have. They chase them because of who they are becoming. And when you are a man on a mission, when you refuse to stay stagnant, when you are constantly leveling up, you become the kind of person people don't want to lose. Not because you convince them, not because you chase them, but because your energy, your drive, your purpose made it impossible for them to ignore you. Emotional intelligence is the secret weapon. Most people don't talk about it, but it's the thing that separates the ones who struggle in relationships from the ones who naturally attract connection, trust, and respect. Women aren't just drawn to look, status, or wealth. Those things might catch attention for a moment, but they don't keep it. What keeps it is how you make someone feel. Attraction isn't just about what people see, it's about what they experience when they're around you. And a man who understands emotions, both his own and others, creates an experience that people don't want to walk away from. Because here's what most men get wrong. They think strength means shutting down, that being unaffected, emotionless, or detached makes them more powerful. But real strength is the opposite. Real strength is knowing how to stay calm under pressure, how to navigate conflict without losing control, how to communicate without letting ego take over. It's about being steady when things get difficult, instead of shutting down or blowing up. Women pay attention to how a man handles himself in difficult moments. If you get defensive over small things, if you react impulsively, if you can't handle discomfort without shutting people out, that's a red flag. Because no one wants to be around someone who makes them feel like they have to walk on eggshells. But a man who knows how to listen, who can take a step back and respond instead of react, who makes people feel safe enough to open up, that's the kind of man women don't just like. That's the kind of man they respect. It's not about being soft. It's about having control. It's about knowing when to step in and when to step back, when to speak and when to listen, when to hold firm and when to be flexible. Emotional intelligence isn't just about understanding other people. It's about mastering yourself. It's about being so self-awareness that no situation can shake you. Because if you don't understand your own emotions, you'll always be controlled by them. And if you're controlled by your emotions, you'll always be at the mercy of your circumstances. The most attractive men are the ones who can walk into any situation and bring calm instead of chaos, who don't let outside opinions or temporary emotions dictate their actions, who don't just react impulsively, but take a moment to understand before they respond. That's power. That's control. That's what makes you stand out. And women notice this immediately. They notice how you handle frustration. They notice how you treat people who can't do anything for you. They notice whether you listen just to respond or listen to understand. And when they see that you're a man who doesn't let his emotions control him, a man who can handle challenges with maturity, a man who can communicate clearly instead of making everything a battle, that's when they know you're different. It's easy to find someone who looks good. It's easy to find someone who talks a big game, but it's rare to find someone who truly understands people, who knows how to lead without forcing, who knows how to connect without trying too hard. That's why emotional intelligence is the secret weapon. Because while everyone else is trying to impress with surface-level things, you're creating something deeper, something real. And when you do that, you won't have to chase. The right people will come to you. Mystery creates desire. Not games, not manipulation, but a genuine sense of depth that makes people curious about you. There's something powerful about a man who doesn't put everything on display, who doesn't feel the need to constantly explain himself or seek validation. When you hold back just enough, when you leave room for curiosity, people naturally want to know more. Most men make the mistake of thinking that if they tell everything, if they lay it all out from the start, they'll earn connection. But attraction doesn't work that way. The more predictable you are, the less interesting you become. The moment someone feels like they've completely figured you out, the mystery disappears. And when mystery disappears, so does the excitement. Think about the people who captivate you the most. They have a certain presence and energy that makes you lean in, that makes you wonder what's beneath the surface. They don't overshare. They don't feel the need to constantly talk about themselves, but when they do speak, it's intentional. It has weight. They reveal just enough to make you want to know more. That's what makes them intriguing. Women are drawn to depth. They want to feel like there's something more to uncover, like every conversation, every interaction is peeling back another layer. And that only happens when you understand the power of restraint, when you don't rush to fill every silence, when you're comfortable in the unknown, when you allow things to unfold naturally instead of forcing them. There's an art to leaving space. It's in the way you carry yourself, in the way you speak, in the way you don't always give the obvious answer. It's in the way you listen more than you talk, the way you let your actions say more than your words. Because confidence isn't about proving. It's about knowing. When you truly know who you are, you don't need to put it all on display. You don't need to convince anyone. You let them figure it out on their own, and that process is what keeps them engaged. The strongest attraction isn't built on trying to impress. It's built on curiosity, on the feeling that there's always more to learn, more to discover. It's built on the quiet assurance of a man who doesn't feel the need to explain himself, who is comfortable in the unknown, who isn't rushing to be understood. When you move through life like that, people take notice. They feel that presence, that quiet confidence, that sense that there's more beneath the surface. And that's what makes them want to get closer. Not because you're trying to be mysterious, but because you understand that true connection isn't about giving everything at once. It's about unfolding naturally, one moment at a time. Self-respect sets the standard. People will only treat you as well as you treat yourself. The way you carry yourself, the way you value your time, the way you enforce your boundaries. It all signals to the world what you will and won't tolerate. And nothing is more attractive than a man who knows his worth and refuses to compromise it. The problem is, too many men give their power away. They overextend themselves. They chase people who don't value them. They tolerate disrespect because they think it will eventually lead to appreciation. But that's not how it works. When you accept less than what you deserve, you're teaching people that it's okay to give you less every time you let something slide, every time you allow someone to take advantage of your kindness, every time you bend over backward for someone who wouldn't do the same for you. You're lowering the standard. Women don't chase men who beg for attention. They don't respect men who compromise themselves just to be liked. They're drawn to men who have the courage to walk away when something doesn't align with their values. The moment you stop accepting things that don't serve you, the moment you stop entertaining people who don't respect you, everything shifts. You stop attracting situations that drain you. You stop wasting time on people who don't see your worth. And the ones who do, they start showing up. It's not about being arrogant. It's not about acting superior. It's about knowing what you bring to the table and refusing to settle for anything less than mutual respect. When you respect yourself, you don't chase, you attract. You don't need to convince anyone to see your value because it speaks for itself. You don't need to beg for loyalty, attention, or commitment because you hold yourself to a higher standard. And here's the truth. People will test you. They will see what they can get away with. They will push boundaries to see if you'll hold firm. And in those moments, your response determines everything. If you back down, if you allow disrespect to slide, if you compromise your values for the sake of keeping the peace, you're teaching them that your standards are flexible. But if you stand your ground, if you make it clear through your actions, not just your words, that you won't tolerate anything less than mutual respect, you earn something far more valuable than momentary validation. You earn respect. The moment you start valuing yourself, the world adjusts. The wrong people will fall away, the right people will rise to meet you, and you'll realize that you never needed to chase them, because the kind of energy that comes from true self-respect is impossible to ignore. Confidence without desperation changes everything. It's one of the most powerful forces in human interaction because people can feel it before you even say a word. There's an unmistakable energy in a man who believes in himself but isn't seeking approval. He's not looking around to see who notices him. He's not adjusting his personality to fit the moment. And he's certainly not trying to convince anyone of his worth. He just knows. And that knowing, that certainty, is magnetic. Desperation, on the other hand, repels. It's the subtle energy of neediness, of hoping to be liked, of wanting so badly for something to work that it actually pushes people away. It's in the way some men over-explain themselves, in the way they wait for permission to make a move, in the way they try too hard to be what they think someone else wants. And that energy is exhausting. It signals to people that you don't fully believe in your own value, so why should they? But confidence, real confidence, isn't about acting tough. It's not arrogance, and it's not pretending to be above it all. It's simply being secure enough in yourself that you don't need constant validation. It's walking into a room and being okay whether people notice you or not. It's engaging in conversation because you're genuinely interested, not because you're trying to impress. It's knowing that if someone doesn't choose you, it doesn't shake your foundation, because you were whole before they arrived, and you'll be whole if they walk away. That's the energy that makes people lean in, because confidence without desperation means you're not forcing anything. It means you're not chasing, you're attracting. It means you're not seeking permission to exist exactly as you are. And that level of certainty makes people feel safe around you. It makes them trust you. It makes them want to be near you, because that kind of energy is rare. The men who struggle the most are the ones who are constantly seeking something outside of themselves to make them feel enough. The ones who believe that if they just had the right woman, the right job, the right amount of money, then they could finally relax into who they're supposed to be. But confidence isn't built externally. It doesn't come from what you have. It comes from what you believe about yourself. And when you stop trying so hard to prove yourself, when you let go of the need for approval, when you show up as you are and trust that it's enough, everything changes. Because the moment you no longer need something is the moment you become the most attractive version of yourself.